listening to Elite Spotlight, presented by Elite Artists Network. And now, here's your host, Michael Masci.
Welcome to another edition of Elite Spotlight. I'm your host, Michael Masci, and once again, thank you so much for joining us. We have a fantastic guest today. We have a motivational hypnotist, and his name is Tim Miller. Tim, welcome to Elite Spotlight.
Thank you so much. I'm very, very excited to be here today. I really appreciate you having me on.
Oh, we're excited to talk with you too, because this is really, really interesting. I'll tell you, this is what I find fascinating. You are a certified hypnotist, and you didn't believe in hypnotism in the beginning, right? So tell us about that. How did you go from being a skeptic to certified hypnotist?
Probably like a lot of your listeners, right? Our exposure to hypnosis is really through TV and movies, and all that's fake. That's all a bunch of garbage. And I was a football coach. So when you're in that profession, you're very singular focused, right? The thing that I know now being a hypnotist is how impactful that could have been during my career as a football coach. So I spent 20 years doing that. And basically my transition into it was totally by accident. My wife, who I've been married, very fortunate to be married to my best friend for over 37 years.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. She always wanted to go on a cruise, but being in coaching, we just never could do it. So when I got out of coaching in '08, we went on a cruise. And there was a hypnotist on stage. And of course, my wife, she volunteers. And I'm like, oh, come on, like, you're going to volunteer for this. She goes up on stage. And I've known my wife pretty much all my life. And I know her very, very well. And I was shocked. I'm like, oh my God. And being an educator and a coach and always trying to figure out ways to motivate myself and other people, I was just blown away. Like, what? Like, this is real. So I left that cruise with a passion for it. My wife talked me into taking some courses, and we kind of went on from there. Yeah, we went on from there. Yep. So it's a pretty cool story. So I'll let you kind of get through. And if I don't want to, talk specific issues. So
No, I think that's awesome, because I'm the same way. I mean, I sometimes see people go up there. I'm like, are they really hitting it? But you know what? I talk to them. I've seen them on the cruise ships, because that's what I do. I work cruise ships all the time as a performer, but I've seen hypnotists, and it is amazing. I must say, I've always been a skeptic, but now I'm starting to really, it is amazing. I mean, let me ask you this. Can you actually hypnotize someone into doing something that they really don't want to do?
No, you don't lose your moral compass, right? And
Right.
well, we never do programming ever. I mean, it's just not our nature that would ever put somebody in a compromised position to really tap into their morals. It's just about like, we often will guard ourselves if I'm talking about entertainment from this perspective, right?
Right.
You have to have a desire. You can't be hypnotized against your will. I like to tell people, often you'll hear, oh, the hypnotist, you can't control me. And I'll tell them, you're 100% right. But what I will tell you is that you can control yourself more, and you can control your thoughts more.
Right.
So when you go into a hypnotic session, whether it's entertainment or health or whatever it may be, you go in with one specific goal. And you become highly focused on that one specific goal. All this, whether you believe it or not, you've been hypnotized. I'll give you an example. Think of a time you get in your car, you drive somewhere, you get there, and you're like, oh my gosh, I don't remember the trip. Have you ever had that happen to you?
Absolutely. Yes.
I mean, time can fly by.
You drift.
You are in the alpha state of hypnosis. Now, if somebody were to jump out in front of you, you would respond, you would react, you would snap yourself out of it. So when we do a stage show, we generally, if you have 10 people up, probably around 60% of the people will just reach that alpha state. The next level, which is what we're really aiming for from an entertainment standpoint, is the theta phase. This is the phase that, like, right before you go to sleep. If you ever think about like, hold on, did I see that, or was I sleeping? Like that kind of, like, when you get up to go to the bathroom or something, you're like kind of in and out. That's the theta phase of hypnosis. So these are natural states. So there's nothing, I tell people all the time when I'm on stage, trust me, there's nothing special about me. I said, all you have to do is ask my wife. She will tell you. What I've been blessed with is an opportunity to be able to present the facts and develop some trust, which you have to trust. If you don't trust, you know, it won't be effective. I've had plenty of people, they often are top stars, and say, listen, I don't believe in this. I said, you don't have to believe in it, but are you willing to give an open mind? If you're willing to give an open mind, you'd be surprised. Be very, very surprised. I've hypnotized thousands of people. It still amazes me.
Well, what's interesting to me is the mind is so amazing because
Yes.
it's capable of things that we don't even tap into, and that explains what you just said. Just explained to me that like we may be in a certain state that we're not realizing what we're capable of doing while in that state, and what you're doing is tapping into that, right?
Without question. And if you think about any of your listeners, you or me, if we want to do something in our life, we have a goal or whatever, what do we have to do first before everything else? We have to be able to imagine it.
Right.
And as a child, we have a great imagination. What happens to us as we get older? We lose it.
Mm-hmm.
We lose it because of disappointment, loss, you know, failure, all these types of things. And, but we're still capable of that. So I like to think of when somebody becomes exposed to hypnosis and actually sees it the way it's supposed to be versus something magic, they recognize that they still have the ability to use that imagination. They still have that ability, things that have harmed them and that blocked them from pursuing fear, right?
Right.
They have the ability to overcome that. So that's what I love about it. That's what I love. Honestly, the entertainment portion of what we do is really just the hook. Every performance, if even when it's not a motivational type of performance, which I do that as well, the goal is to have people leave and feel empowered. Not necessarily go and find a hypnotist, but go and say, I need to start tracking how I think and why I think. And when I have those problems in my relationship, or if I have those fears at certain points, I got to dig back and realize, why is that the case? And why am I perceiving these things that way?
Right. And I'll tell you, I did some research and I looked at one of your promo videos. The show can be hilarious. I mean, it's pretty
Oh,
funny what you're able to make people do. So
yeah.
I find that interesting. Oh, by the way, so tell us, so is this a project you're already doing, or is this something in the works about the chaotic hypnotic game show?
So I'm very excited about this. It's something that we actually had put on stage, and I'm going to try to be as not too lengthy in this response. But
Sure.
when I first got into this, I talked my wife into doing this, right? When I got out of coaching in '08, I went into real estate right when the market crashed. Like literally the first day I was licensed, I can remember the lender coming out, looked like she saw a ghost. It was probably for me personally the best thing that ever happened because the whole industry changed. And within 3 years, I developed a top 20 Remax team in the tri-state area. And within
That's
5 years, I was
incredible.
inducted to the Remax Hall of Fame. And of course, once I got that thing, you know, pretty much going, of course, it's a perfect time to change your entire career, right?
Yes.
Well, I started this as a hobby. I loved it. I felt like I was coaching. I mean, I liked real estate, but it wasn't my passion. I'm a big
Yeah.
believer in your passion. You know, if the money's not the same, adjust your living. So I talked her into the first thing I did for like 50 of my clients and friends in my basement, maybe 30, 50 people. And people were blown away. So right away, I knew as an entrepreneur, I said, this is a business, right? So I talked my wife into us putting it on like one of these entertainment sites that people are having parties or whatever, right? And don't you know, in 6 months, we're the best show in the country. So now, like we did
Oh,
events
that's
for
awesome.
Ripley, believe it or not, whatever. So as I'm trending, I'm trying to think like I love to create things that haven't been done. So I came up with the idea to put comedians within our show. So we did being from Philadelphia, and I know that you're from the area as well. We
Yes.
did three hypnotic comedian challenges that we called them. We would have three comedians. They do 5 minute sets before our show. The audience would pick one, and then I would have people that are hypnotized. They would have to be, you know, handle being on stage with, you know, people under hypnosis. And the issues the comedians had is I would tell them before, this is real. And when they get on
Right.
stage, oh no, that person like they're a dog and they're going to pee on me, right?
Yeah.
You know, uh, it was amazing. The problem I had is I was trending with my regular programming, and God bless them. The comedians are great, but I mean, sometimes with comedians, they're a little bit different animal. You're an entertainer, you get what I'm
Yeah.
saying.
Oh,
We
yeah.
agree, they're smoking weed and they're smoking pot and all that. And I'm not here to judge anyone, but I was starting to get booked on corporate things. And I knew I had to separate myself. I couldn't get myself in that lane to be able to expose our programming to everyone. So I stopped it. Fast forward a couple years, there's something right now called HipProv, right? And good for the hypnotist that started this. He pitched it, same concept of what I had created a couple years before. I don't know if
Right.
you've heard, but Colin
I haven't.
Mockery.
Is this with comedians as well?
Well, Colin Mockery, the gentleman from Whose Line Is It Anyway?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. The comedian, the hypnotist pitched them, and they started to do this right before COVID. And don't you know, they have performed all over the world the past 2 years. It's grossed over $10 million. And
Wow.
it's the same concept of what I kind of had done. And again, I think it's good for him. He may or may not have seen the stuff I did. That's irrelevant, right? He's the one that went out and pursued it. But during this time, right before COVID, I started this game show when I transitioned from that. So it's basically hypnotizing people against people that aren't hypnotized in the audience. I believe in entertainment. I've spent a lot of time on college campuses. I know that entertainment's changing. It needs to be more all inclusive. If I ever talk to a singer or a comedian, I said, get off the stage, get out in the audience, because
Right.
the invisible wall that used to exist needs to be taken down. So when we do shows, anyone in the audience can have the opportunity to be hypnotized. I have people on stage, then I encourage people in the audience. So sometimes our show spends very little time on stage. It's all over the venue. So the game show provides an incredible amount of audience participation.
That's great.
We had done it, two productions, one on a college campus, one on a public venue. I did for editing to try to, at that time, pitch it for a TV show, which is a very tough task, as you know.
Yeah.
COVID came, our life got crazy. We moved to the Bahamas. We got involved in all this different stuff. And now I'm excited to go back to it. And I decided to add a co-host. So we have some really, really pretty well-known people that we're hoping to attach with. I can't really say that. That's not confirmed yet. And we're going to be hopefully touring with it. So it has the Price is Right. Remember the old whammies? Well,
Sure.
now imagine the whammy gets selected, but the whammy isn't the little figure that dances in front. It's a hypnotic person that is triggered by a sound that comes up, and then whatever prizes that contestant had, the hypno star ends up with those prizes, right? So it's a very trying to keep it as basic as possible. Like I said, there's very great judges involved. We have a concept of using leaders within communities when we go to be able to have individuals represent that community as a judge. The comedians, we have an impressionist co-host, we have an improv co-host, we have a social media influencer, very funny person with over 4 million followers, potential that's not committed yet. So I'm really excited about it. I'm really passionate about it.
Let me ask you this question, because I don't know if you've touched on it or not, but is this in lieu of or in connection with you as a keynote speaker?
So we have various programs. I put everything under the Hypnotizing America. So anyone interested, hypnotizingamerica.com to see about us. So for an example, I was honored to be hired by Pfizer last year. They were doing leadership from all over the world, international leadership, through an event. And I suggest if I were to come in to do a motivational thing, which is very powerful, when I go do a regular show, if there's 1,000 people, more than half of them don't believe in it.
Right.
Again, I was in that. When someone sees the show, I very rarely have anyone leave the venue with them not believing in it. You've seen them. You can see the responses of people. You say, there's the person that had to be the best actor in the world to go from
Exactly
to hilariously laughing, right? So when I do more keynote type of thing, and I like to do more of this, is I'll do our regular stage show. It's usually a 2-event purchase. So if if it's a 3-day conference for it, I'll come in. People see what it is and say, okay, now tomorrow we're going to come back and we're going to work on you overcoming whatever that thought process is that's blocking you from taking the next step, whether it's personally or professionally. And often that thing usually overlaps the two. So if somebody can overcome whatever's problems they're having in their relationship, or maybe drinking too much, or whatever that might be,
Sure. Any vices. Yeah.
it's going to help their professional production as well. So that is what I absolutely love, right? Because it's directly helping people try to see their failures in a different light, because that's usually what holds us back. You
Right.
know, I think it's a shame if you see a powerful woman that was abused as a child, and here
Mm,
this CEO of a huge corp, but she still has, I understand it, but that person should be like empowered through the roof to understand that, my God, they overcame so much in their life. So it's trying
right.
to help people through hypnosis reprogram the way that we sometimes think. And sometimes we don't really understand exactly why we think the way we do.
Well, I'll tell you, our show is all about interesting people with inspiring stories, and you are definitely one of them. So I think this is really cool. I know
Said
I love that.
multiple
I love
ways.
that you use an entertaining way to bring the best out of people, and I think that's a great connection. And using hypnosis is wonderful. Now, when one thing that jumped out at me, first of all, tell us about your coaching experience that you've coached before.
So, like I said, my wife and I have been married, and our kids are all in their mid 30s. So we had kids very, very young.
Right.
I pretty much experienced every level in coaching: high school, college, and then some NFL stuff. Not officially, but I'll tell you about that in a second.
Sure.
My last job, I was a head coach at a small NCAA Division I program. And but before I got that job, I was introduced to Dick Vermeil, NFL Hall of Famer, right? So it's like what, name dropping right now, right?
I love that though, because that's the first thing that jumped out at me when I was looking at your
And
bio. I
very
used to
special
love
person.
Dick Vermeil with the Eagles.
Well, everything you know and heard about him,
Yes.
go ahead and multiply it by two.
Oh yeah.
Because yeah, I get a little emotional talking about him,
The good
because
guy, right?
so he has an ability, something that I still really, which I'll get to in a second after I tell you how this all happened. So I was introduced to him, and I have one of the best voice messages ever in my life, where he had called and told me that I reminded him a lot of himself when he was starting. And, I didn't have anywhere close to the accolades that would deserve any of this. Just right place, right time, right person. So he used to have me come out in '04 and '05 to Kansas City Chiefs organization, open door to me. I go to his house, go to the different events he would have for the players. He would have me sit in every single individual coaches, players meetings, every single one, special teams, the whole thing, team meetings, coaching staff meetings. And it just made me, feel as if I belonged. And I learned so much, and I also developed a lot of. There's one friendship I developed from there that I consider one of my better friends. I love him to death, and very, 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 very talented and experienced guy of both 8 years playing and 23 years coaching, and coached more NFL Hall of Fame running backs than any other coach.
Hmm.
Um, and the thing that really, if I was going to tell you one thing about Dick Vermeil, he has this ability to be able to understand that position, and you're a sports guy, you understand that position. How many things are coming at you at once? You're talking about you're the head of $1 billion in $1 billion industry.
Right.
You have networks, coaches, players, this, that, your own personal life. And when I would sit with him for lunch or whatever, I would feel as if there was nothing else going on in his
Wow.
life. When I would call him and leave him a voice message, he would call me back that same day later on, and he would apologize for taking so long. Look, I'm nobody in this world, like nobody. All right. Yet he had this ability to do that. It wasn't something he tried, it just naturally came from within. And that's something that probably is the number one thing I got out of the entire experience, to be able to learn that. And I find that extreme leaders have the ability sometimes to do that.
I think it's interesting, and I can kind of relate to that as a performer. I've always said what makes a good performer a great performer. A good performer, for instance, I play piano and sing, and I do shows. A great performer connects with the audience, makes them feel like you're singing directly to them. And I think that's a wonderful ability to, like you just said, you felt like you were the most important person to him, that he's reaching out to you when he could be talking to a million other people, right? But you feel important. And I think that's a great connection is really important, I think.
Yeah, really. And when you transition into like entertainment is like, I naturally love people. So it's not something I have to work hard at. I've been very, very fortunate and blessed in my life that people be very kind to me and offer me way more than I could ever return. Um, but I think as an entertainment, especially the entertainer these days, people are looking for an experience. They want to walk away with something.
Right.
They want to feel engaged. They want to feel like they're just not just a number. And I'm fortunate with the type of program that I have is that every individual could walk out of there, with something if they choose to have it, For the people that just want to come and laugh, they get that, but there's also people in there, let's be honest, life is tough. All of us. There's people
Yep.
listening right now. They're struggling, and sometimes you never know for any individual, no matter at all of our walks in life. You're walking the store, you hold the door open for somebody, you smile at them. You just don't know what somebody needs. And every opportunity that we all have, we should take advantage of that.
That is so true. And I've always had this saying that I say, no matter how bad my day is, I know that somebody else is having a worse day. And like you said, you never know, that little gesture of kindness can change somebody's entire day, and God knows what else, right? I mean, it could be a wonderful change in their lives. But no, you're absolutely right. I got to ask you, you've got so many different talents, Tim. So you wrote a book as well, and I wanted to touch on this because it's called Overcoming the Inner Crisis, right? So was it about the pandemic?
Well, we use the pandemic as a reference, right?
Okay.
I used it as a reference point, right? It was written during that time, and my purpose in writing it was I'm not necessarily a huge believer in motivational speakers. I
Okay.
think you can go see a motivational speaker and be motivated, but I'm not sure how long it lasts, right? I believe that all of us have our story that is the most motivating thing to us. It's just a matter of how we perceive it, as we kind of discussed already. So I don't talk a lot about my personal journey because to me, it's not as important about as it is with somebody else's personal journey, each individual. And there could be 100,000, 10 people. It doesn't really matter when I do the speaking stuff, right? Everyone can enter in at their own, whatever they desire to be at. So when we had the pandemic and we weren't able to do that, I was pitched the idea like it's a perfect opportunity to talk about my journey, like, the struggles, the failures, how we overcame them and, my faith, which is very important to me. So it was just an opportunity to talk about, taking some of the things that I hope to preach on stage and saying this is when it was real life and how I failed at it and how I also succeeded in it.
Now we've got a few minutes left. Um, Another interesting part of your story. I found it really fascinating. You were inducted into the Black Hall of Fame in Pennsylvania. Tell me the story behind that.
So I grew up in a black neighborhood in the 70s and 80s in the suburbs of Philadelphia. When I say grew
Okay.
up, I actually live in the community. But I spent my childhood basically there. And when I was young, my dad took a chance, went out on his own, very, very hard worker, and he did very, very well for himself. So we went into a situation during well, more in the 80s and being able to be exposed to a lot of the things that, let's be honest, mostly white people would be exposed to, the country clubs and those types of things. Meanwhile, I was on a basketball court, only white guy, 300 black guys there, running and feeling like I totally belonged. And when I tell you that people have been kind to me, that is a community that, although some of those people at that time had suffered through slavery, they never made me feel, ever made me feel different. They welcomed me in to be one of their own. And just recently, this is just probably 6 months ago, that area in Philadelphia, honored me to be inducted into the Black Hall of Fame, which I've been lucky to get a lot of awards. Maybe some, I don't know if I deserved them or not. That was very, very special to me. It was very special. My wife is from that community. We live where we live now on Grand Bahama Island because
Mhm.
of that community. We moved here 5 years ago, and at the time, I'm not a political person, so I don't get into all the politics, but there was a lot of disruption, a lot of division, a lot of those types of things. It
Right.
was hurting us. When we came over here, we live on the west end of Grand Bahama Island. It reminded
Nice.
us, yeah, it reminded us of that Black community in the 70s and 80s. It really, really did. Where the unity, people are looking out for other people's kids. Their kids are still running around in the streets here. No, you're supposed to be there. Remember those days?
I do.
You can actually like not firmly discipline, but say, hey, because you kind of shared the same values and things, and that's what drew us here. Originally it was our show coming over, but that's really what made it feel like home. So
Oh,
thank you
that's
for
wonderful.
that's special, and the people in that community that trust me when I tell you this. And one of the jobs I took up when I was a head football coach, I was coaching at a very powerful high school, and that program where I came from was terrible. I mean, almost about to fold. So I went and I was the head football coach there. And those kids, whatever I told those kids to do, the people in that community says, I don't like what you're doing. We're different. So I love them, specifically the Penland community. I love you guys in case they listen to this.
Let me tell you what an achievement that is. I think that's wonderful. And now I think we're coming to the most important subject of our entire interview, and that is your
We're
wife,
going to talk about
Michelle.
you.
No, your wife, Michelle.
Oh yes. So
35 years. Now you're doing the show with her, right? So how do you like that? And also one other thing, tell me about Boo Boo. I saw something about Boo Boo.
we was asleep around there somewhere.
Oh yeah?
So I better start with my wife though. My
Yes,
best
please.
my wife, my surprise, my wife is Black.
Okay.
And when I started it, she wasn't really one to want to be out in front of. I've always been an outgoing person, so it's not a problem for me. But I knew there was value in having her on stage with me. So she's like a self-taught like DJ. We put a lot of music, a lot of sound effects. We write new shows all the time. So there's triggers off of things that she
That's
does.
great.
And in the beginning, she would be like, oh, just put me off on the side, put me off on the side. And I've got a cool story, probably a couple years in, where she was always so bashful. We were doing a show at a pretty big college in Pennsylvania, and I was outside. There were students were all lined up, to come in. I don't know how many students, seven, eight
Yeah.
hundred students, right? And they're coming in there, and I hear the music playing, and there's Michelle on the stage in front of the whole crowd of students, having them dancing and everything else. So
Oh
I'm
my
really,
gosh.
but the reason I wanted to have her on stage is, let's be honest, relationships are tough anymore. And I thought there was a value, and she's very funny. She has an incredible laugh. She now wears a mic and we interact during the show and stuff. But I think there's a value to see a couple that have been together for over 35 years,
People
to see
love that.
together, the whole thing. And also when you talk about interracial, marriage, some people haven't been as exposed to that, as normal. So, that was very, very important to me. She gets it now. She really gets it now, and I'm so proud of her. She's such a big part of it. And then our dog. So I'm a type 1 juvenile diabetic. I've had it for over 40
Oh,
years. I take
okay.
6 a day. The only issue I've had is I've gone into a coma a couple of times in the middle of the night. So our previous
Oh,
standard was awesome. We had him even before we had started the show. And someone had heard about the issues that I was having, and the person was a pretty successful dog trainer. Said, we can train that dog to wake you up. So his name was Panda. He got trained. Well, now he traveled everywhere with us, everywhere. And he was trained that when he put his vest on, he's a service dog. You would never question he's a service dog. He flies. You would never question. People say, "Oh my God, now that's a service dog."
right.
His jacket off, he was fair game. So we noticed for colleges, we do a lot of freshman orientation. It was so valuable because, let's be honest, it's tough for those kids. They're away from home, and and Panda started to become. I mean, I tell people all the time, the one platform, I think at the time we had like 30,000 social media followers. It had nothing to do with me. It was all the dog, right? So I was asked. We were hired to. I was the open night speaker and performer for New York Conference of Mayors. Well, I found out beforehand the lady fell in love with the dog. So I went out on stage, my suit on. I said, "Listen, I understand the reason I'm here is because of the dog. I've been paid. I can sit down. You guys can play with the dog." Joking, right?
Yeah.
So when Panda died unexpectedly, uh,
Oh,
yeah, it was tough. And when you live on an island, as you know, since you lived on an
yeah.
island,
Yeah.
not as, right? So we got Boo Boo looks exactly like Panda. He's a red standard poodle, and our home base in the States is in Florida. We found Panda, which felt like he was like literally Panda or Boo Boo. We found Boo Boo now. It felt like Panda was just like, hey, here he is.
Oh,
We had a problem though. We couldn't bring him over to the island because of the rabies and stuff in times.
okay.
This incredible trainer that had experience training dogs for diabetes said, I'm going to take him. He's going to live with me for a month and a half. And so Panda is just turned 2. He's now on stage with us.
That's great.
First, we got hired by Diamond Dog Foods. It's like one of the biggest dog food
Yeah.
companies in Indianapolis or Indiana. I forget exactly where. So this was like in January. So he wasn't ready quite yet to be on stage. He was a service dog. He could travel and everything.
So interesting. And like I said, Elite Spotlight's all about interesting people, and you're definitely one of them. Tim, thank you so much for joining us on the Elite Spotlight. We hope to have you back again and hear how chaotic America is going. We're going to have links. Is it Chaotic Hypnotic America, right?
No, Chaotic Hypnotic Game Show.
Show. Gotcha.
Hypnotizing America is the website.
Hypnotizingamerica.com. We're going to have it in the description. Thank you so much for joining us, my friend. We'll talk soon.
Thank you so much. Thank you to your listeners as well for listening.
Thank you for joining us on Elite Spotlight. If you've enjoyed today's episode, make sure you follow and subscribe so you never miss a conversation. And if something you heard today inspired you or made you think or simply made you smile, leave us a comment and share the episode with someone who needs to hear it. Every follow, comment, and share helps Elite Spotlight grow and helps us bring even more incredible stories to you. Until next time, stay curious, stay inspired, and keep your spotlight shining. We'll see you next time on Elite Spotlight.